Well, hello, my little buttercup. Welcome to my home. We're on the third floor. These are my private apartments up here. And I would like to show you around. It's not often I have somebody come up here into my own private area. But let's look around. Comfy, right? Come in here. We can have a little bit more privacy. I'll just close the doors so that we've got a little bit of time to ourselves in here. My little sleeping nook. These are just my private chambers. Look around. Oh, you see what you think is a secret room? Well, why don't you go ahead and have a look? Yes, my little buttercup. Go inside. Oh, yes. Right inside. There you go. I'll just close this door here so that we've got a little privacy and nobody can hear the noises. So, welcome to my torture sex den. Okay, I'm gonna just go over what is inside here. It is sort of a work in progress, but we'll just go clockwise so that you can see which items you'd like to be victimized by. So over here is something called the Judas Cradle. So back in the day, a victim would sit right on top of that point there, and their body weight would push them down into this agonizing, well, probably their death. So they would be restrained. I may put more chains up here, but basically they would just fall down, and eventually this would just poke right through them. So depending if you have one orifice or two, the torture executionist could choose which way they wanted you to sit on top of it. Okay, and what I made it with, really simple. That's just a Tauren fence post, and then I've got Stormwind beam platforms. And then I put a little blood here. So that's actually Slate Cobblestone, and it's dyed with Horde red. Okay, moving on. This isn't exact. These all look different, but this is called a Spanish donkey. Try and zoom in here. So if you look at it from this angle, that was the best I could do. It was clipping, wasn't really clipping right, but you would straddle over top of it and then have this weight bound to your ankles, and it would be very uncomfortable. You probably could die on it, but I think a lot of people just use it for domination. They would just chain a person up and then have their way with them. So this here is just an Elwynn fence post, and the weight I used an Ironforge fence. Okay, over here, the game already gave you this. So this is called the Legion Torture Rack. And that's all that it is. A victim would be tied or chained with their hands bound behind them or to their ankles. And, someone would just have their way with them. Okay, moving on here. This apparatus here is just a pillory with some chains hanging. So this was clipped. This is the Gilnean Stocks clipped into the wall to make it look like it's a hanging board. And then the chain is the vertical Felsteel chain. So S&M communities still use something like this to bind a person's wrists and head, and again, have their fun. Okay, in the middle of the room here, this would be a quartering table or a restraining bed. They all look different. I mean, some of them look like this, but most of them would just look like a bed with spikes on it. But to actually quarter your victim, you would chain them down, and they'd be spread eagle here. So another thing that they would do to torture is they had rocks here, and they would set them right on top of the victim's chest. So chaining them or tying them to each quarter here, but I'm not a monster, okay? That's why I included a little cushion here, so at least you didn't get a sore neck while you were lying here. So this is basically, you know, beams, the hanging Felsteel chains, and again the rock trio, slate cobblestone trio. And then over here we have a hanging cage. Again, the game just gives you that. So that's just the hanging Felsteel cage. And underneath, just for a little bit of fun, I've got the Forsaken spiked Brazier. Just, you know, keep things hot. This is just the freestanding pillory. It's called the Gilnean Stocks. And over here I made this Iron Maiden. I think all of us from the 1980s and 90s, because of the band, we all had to look up what an Iron Maiden was. So the victim would go and stand in here, the lid would close, and they would be impaled slowly by all these spikes. So to make this, I had to do a little bit of trickery to hide some stuff. That's why this coffin is sitting here. But the Iron Maiden are two dragon's grand mirrors. There are spikes here, the Banshee Queen's banner, and the Forsaken spiked chair. I've got two of them on each side. And I have another spiked brazier up here. And I just took you know, like I say, I took a second mirror to make it look like the lid. The lid would also have spikes on it, but it was really hard to clip. So to hide what I was doing, I just put a coffin here to sort of hide the clipping work. I didn't do a very good job, did I? But at least your eyes don't really go to that, because that's partly why I put the scarecrow in here. It is the Snow Tribe. What's it called now? Snowfall Tribe Scare Totem. So both the coffin and the lid just propped up so that it's kind of hiding my clipping. So there you go. Where would you like to start? Where shall I begin with you? I can't even decide. Anyway, thank you for watching. This will be a work in progress. I might add more detailing, or I might even add more devices. I'm just not sure. But anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.